Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Happy New Year. Craven County Board of Commissioners regular session for Monday, January 6th is now in session. Madam Clerk, would you call the board?
Commissioner Bucher? Commissioner Liner?
Here.
Commissioner McCabe?
Here.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Here.
Commissioner Sampson?
Here.
Vice Chairman Jones?
Here.
Chairman Martin?
Here. Can we stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good and gracious God, as we begin this new year, we do so with a great hope. We know that you are with us and want to guide our every step. We ask a special grace upon all those who will serve the people of Craven County. May your presence fill all county offices in our hearts, inspiring us to love all our sisters and brothers and to serve them in humility and peace. We make this prayer in your holy name. Amen.
Amen.
On the agenda tonight, there is one area under Department Matters, Sheriff, on item B. There's a typo there. It's not 11 million, it's 11,000. Okay. I have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? The ayes have it. Petition of citizens.
Mr. Chairman, we don't have anyone who signed up at this time.
All right, then, let me just read petition of citizens. Comments directly pertaining to the items on the agenda of any regular scheduled meeting of the board shall be made during an agenda comment period occurring at the beginning of each regular scheduled meeting. Comments during that period shall be limited to those comments directly pertaining to items on the agenda for such meeting. Each speaker must address the board as a whole and not as an individual commissioner, county staff member, or audience from the lectern, and shall begin his or her remarks by giving us the name and address of the topic about to be covered. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to make their remarks, measured by a timer operated by the county staff. A speaker may not yield any of his or her time to another speaker. Number 2 is the consent agenda, which consists of tax releases and refunds. Sheriff K-9 donations budget amendment. And do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those, no. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Martin?
Yes. Item 3 is Highway 1764. As you'll remember at our last meeting, I spoke about the amount of monies that we have spent on Highway 1764. At this time, I would like to make a motion that we continue to pay the $12,500 for the balance of the year to the budget. And at budget time, we will have a workshop and discuss the lowering of that amount of money.
Second motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? Ayes have it. Department matters, Sheriff Chip Hughes and Tony Lee. Secure Technologies Incorporated Technology Grant Budget Amendment. This is Craven County Sheriff's Office has received a technology award grant in the amount of $14,000 from Secure Technologies Incorporated. They provide technology for the department inmate populations for the use of telephones visitation technology to include off-site inmate visitation through computer links and electronic tablets, and inmates may access while in Craven County Detention Center. Technology grant has been specifically set aside for the use of Craven County Sheriff's Office. The board will be requested to approve this in the budget. We will not, at this time, use it for any of the items that was on attachment 4A. We have $10,000 that is owed from the sheriff that had bought stuff. We will pay that $10,000 off, and I will make that motion, and the balance of $4,000. And then in February, we'll have a workshop to discuss those items that are on attachment 4A. Do I have a second?
Second.
Yes.
Hey, good evening. Thank you.
I'm sorry
Chair-
about that.
Vice Chair, Commissioners. Couple things with the, one, I've got Chief West is going to be discussing the Securus Technology Grant and how those monies were, I guess, earmarked from Securus Technologies as part of the technology that we procured from them. Also, the 2019 Burn Justice Assistant Grant Program Award. I'm going to have Captain Tony Lee address that as well. The grant is something, the Burn Justice is something that my office and the City of New Bern Police Department has been in partnership with for years. But it does require y'all's approval because some of the equipment will be utilized by my office as we move forward. And I'm going to have, I guess, Chief Lee or Chief West, if you would just speak briefly about the Securus money and how we look to use that in regards to care and upkeep of equipment. Thanks, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Glad to be here to speak. First of all, I'd like to talk about the Securus grant. Securus, as we know from the contract that we signed recently, is with the jail detention facility, and it provides technology for tablets that I think y'all have witnessed and touched and seen, for visitation phones and for different technologies. Part of that contract provided a signing bonus, technology grant signing bonus of $14,000. And part of that, we requested, what can we use that for? Is it earmarked for computers, is it earmarked for this or that? And we received confirmation from Mr. James Jennison, who is the representative from Securus out of Texas, and he responded to us that the spending of this grant is at discretion of the Craven County Sheriff's Office, which didn't lock it down to any one particular piece of equipment or technology. And what we have decided that we would best use for is, stop there, let me go here. The Defense Logistics Agency provides surplus vehicles through Law Enforcement Support Services Office through the state, and we have acquired high water rescue vehicles. We've acquired Humvees, we've acquired 5-ton, the M1083s, I believe. Those in the military be familiar with those, and plus the LVSR, which will give us the capability of saving lives and rescuing people in bad times during disasters in all parts of the county. That's one thing we discovered when we came in, is that we didn't have any capability. You know, county manager's been gracious enough, we've discussed, and we've been allowed to purchase some four-wheel drive vehicles that give us some capability, but after about 10 inches of water, those vehicles are useless to us. These vehicles give us up to 26 to 30 inches of clearance. I say that to say this, these vehicles are acquired, we go to training, we're allowed to get on the system and look for vehicles and look for equipment. It's at no cost to us. Of course, when we acquire a vehicle and bring it back, if there's something broken with the vehicle, then we fix it. If it's too much to fix, then we can turn the vehicle back in at no cost. We acquired probably $1.4 million worth of vehicles at zero cost to us. It's set for repairs. This one repair bill that we're looking to pay, there's two bills we're looking to pay out of the Securus grant right off the get-go. It's one is a $6,100 bill for a F-750 stake truck. It's a cargo truck that we've got, a civilian vehicle. The other bill will be a bill of $2,400 to R.A. Woods Trucking. That's because they had to travel to Kentucky to bring the vehicle back. He charged us about $162 a mile, which is below the going rate of $2 to $3 a mile. So we were given a very good deal on that to bring it back. So with that, it brings the total to, let me find it. around $8,000 for these two vehicles is what we're looking to spend, 8544 of this 14,000, which leaves us some. And there'll be additional costs for registration, but we're still trying to learn, it's a new process for us, what the registration will be for these vehicles. We've surveyed other counties and other sheriff's offices, and we found that it's a wide range, there's no set rules. Some sheriff's offices choose not to register them, which we see problems with that. And then we choose we're gonna go the correct way and register them, you know. Maintenance on these vehicles, there'll be very little driving done, except probably around the lot to make sure they're running in service. We're fortunate, part of our personnel, a lot of them are retired folks out of the military or have separated from the military, and that was their MOS in the military, was motor T, so they know how to look at these vehicles and do light maintenance, no heavy maintenance, just make sure they're running, make sure they're cranking. So with that, we're requesting to spend the 8544 for the two bills, the two invoices, and also use this money to fund any further bills we might have for these vehicles.
I understand that, Chief West. However, this was brought to us in closed session, as I remember, and the commissioners have not had a chance to go over these vehicles or discuss these vehicles. And for that reason, I am asking for a motion to table this until February, until we have a work session, and we can go over this with all the commissioners.
I'll make that motion.
You got a motion, you got that?
I had the
second on
motion,
table.
a second.
I'll second. If the motion states that we're going to approve only authorizing the transfer of the Securus Technology Grant Award in the amount of 14 from revenue to expenditures to pay the bills.
Correct.
Okay. I'll second it.
Okay. Have a roll call vote, please?
Mr. Chairman, if I may ask, just clarification, just to make sure we know what we're doing. Okay, so we're taking the 14,000, we're transferring it over to pay the debt that's owed. The remainder will stay in that fund.
In that fund, right.
Until you can
Correct.
discuss it further.
Right.
Okay, all right.
So you're authorizing 8544 and pay
8544.
the two bills that are outstanding. The Chief West just referenced,
Well-
the 6144 and the,
I know, but let me go back to ask Chief West here, because he says plus an additional 350 to 400 estimated still coming in.
Yes, sir.
So I mean, I don't want to limit it.
I got you,
Yes, sir.
I see.
Yes, sir. That's where we're trying to figure out what the registration cost will be.
Yeah, because I don't want to put it in there 8944 and you got
Exactly.
10,000 coming in.
Right.
Got it.
Okay, roll call.
So when you say there's another 350 to 400 that are estimated, those are the registration fees?
Yes, we're still trying to figure out what the registration fee, there's possibly if there's a problem with one of the trucks, they think can be fixed, or it might cost as much as $350. Then there's fuel cost with going to pick vehicles up back, same fuel costs, like we went to St. Julian's Creek, had some fuel costs, but the major two bills that we're addressing right now would be those two invoices.
Right.
Okay, now I'm confused. We're authorizing only the expenditures in of the bills, nothing else. No
Actually,
registration.
no,
nothing.
what we're doing is we're putting the $14,000 into the budget, is that correct?
That's correct,
But
and-
into his account.
Into his account.
correct. Because the money's not budgeted now, it was
Right.
after the budget
Gotcha.
process was
Right.
done.
Okay,
That's all we're doing
Got the $14,000.
tonight.
okay.
Right.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second, could I have a roll call
Hold
vote?
it.
Mr. Chair, forgive me, I've gotten a little bit lost here too. To make sure I understand, we're putting the 14,000 in the budget, and of that 14,000, these two invoices, 2,400 and 6,100-ish,
Yes, ma'am.
will be paid out of that, and then the remainder sits in the budget until further decisions are made.
Right.
Okay, got it. Sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
You ready? Commissioner Liner,
Yes,
Commissioner McCabe,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Jones,
Yes.
Chairman Martin.
Yes. Okay, second part.
Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
Also, before you tonight, we have a request to allow us to sign an MOU with the New Bern Police Department. I have Captain David Daniels here also. New Bern Police Department actually originated this grant. We are partnered with them through the Coastal Narcotics Enforcement Team, or what we refer to as CNET. Each year, they apply for a grant in order to buy equipment for that team to be used during narcotics investigations. And so what we have before you tonight is a request for you to allow us to sign the MOU to receive $11,488 so that we can purchase equipment between our two agencies in order to effectively investigate narcotics in Craven County. If you have any specific questions about how the grant was generated or any specific details, Captain Daniels can answer those questions, as they were the ones who actually wrote the grant request.
Okay, let's have a motion first.
So move.
Second. Discussion.
I'll go. Cap, let me ask you a couple of things. You're saying, I understand that New Bern wrote the grant,
Yes, sir.
but we're the authority of the grant.
Yes, sir.
We could have put the grant in ourselves, or we could have partnered with any other municipality.
Sure.
And what I'm getting at, 2 years ago, maybe three, probably 2 or 3 years ago, we did this with New Bern, and we bought all weight equipment for them. Why is this not being shared around the community for the other municipalities and offered? We're the authority, meaning the sheriff's department, who has this.
Correct.
And I guess what I'm getting, I understand a partnership, don't get me wrong, Captain, and everything else of what we're going here, but I'm looking at the whole picture of this thing here. We're getting, meaning you, one radio out of this, out of $11,000. So I'm assuming, and that's a bad assumption on my part, that the sheriff's department needs nothing else the rest of this year that they could use this $11,000 for to bring them up to speed without having to come back before this board for additional funding. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not saying that we don't need those additional funds, but what this particular grant specifically addresses is shared equipment. And it's not just between the Sheriff's Office and New Bern Police Department. There are other municipalities and other surrounding jurisdictions who are also members of CNET. That team specifically focuses on narcotics investigations, and this equipment will go to support that team in those investigations, which is shared. Now, I'm not saying that we can't use the $11,488 to buy more additional equipment for us. It just happened to be that New Bern applied for the grant, and we have to partner with them in order to receive any of the grant monies.
Well, you can partner with anyone.
Sure, we could.
Partner with anyone on
Sure.
that. And what I'm getting at, though, if you read the memorandum of understanding, this is solely for New Bern, for the team. I understand that, for the team, but it's for New Bern. No money transactions, nothing else between the county and New Bern and the county.
Correct.
We're getting, out of $11,000, we're getting $2,000. And it's lucky that we're, I guess, fortunate to get that, but I just find it strange that we could have put in the grant ourselves and asked for it, because this money could be used for anything. I mean, if you can buy weight equipment, you can definitely buy anything
Right.
on that. So that was my outlook on this. I understand the team, y'all done great work and everything else, but you know you've got other partners out there.
Sure.
That's in the same needs of other people. That's my comment.
Okay, any other, yes, Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes, sir. Just since I'm unfamiliar with how this particular grant works, I know that New Bern PD put in for it. I guess 2 questions, 2.5. Could the Sheriff's Department also have put in for this so that there were 2 applications? Or could Havelock PD have put in for this in addition to New Bern, or is it restricted to 1 per county?
To answer your question, Commissioner, anybody could put in for it. The way that it's issued is dependent upon population and crime trends and stats would declare who gets it. Because of the crime stats and population of Craven County and New Bern, it was required that it be shared between 2 agencies.
Okay.
So we put in for it, and we're told through the Bern Grant Justice Department that we had to have a disparate agency to share it with, and obviously we partner with the Sheriff's Office every day. So that was the common, the logical goal to partner with them.
Okay, so would it be feasible to say that Havelock, for example, could have put in for the grant and also partnered with the county, but Havelock Police Department perhaps chose not to? Or was the crime in Havelock, that Havelock PD deals with, insufficient to meet the requirements of the burn center?
They could have put in for the grant, but if their crime stats weren't high enough, they would have to do just like we did, was share with another agency.
Okay, but conceivably, New Bern and Havelock and Trent Woods and Riverbend and Bridgeton could all have put in for these grants had they chosen to?
That's correct.
Okay. Could the county sheriff's department also put in for this grant?
Yes, they can.
Okay, so conceivably, every police department in Craven County could have could have applied for it.
Conceivably, yes, ma'am.
Conceivably, didn't, but, and presumably they had their own reasons for not doing so. Okay, that was my question, sir, thank you.
Any other?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to say I'm really enthused that the different agencies is beginning to work together to try to make things better for all. And I think we have something good going here, because once we work together, we can do more than we can if we work separately. And I'm sure since they've been working together, we have gotten more done than we have the whole time we were working separate. So I believe this will be successful, because I've talked to the sheriff, talked to the chief police of New Bern, and I let them know that we're only spinning our wheels beginning to work against each other, because we can't get anything done. We might get a little done, but you can't recognize it. So people working together can do great things.
I agree with you, Commissioner. And in the past, we have worked on this before. I believe we had bought some equipment going back a year or two ago with the New Bern Police Department and the Sheriff's Office. We have a motion, a second. Have a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Liner,
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe,
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Yes,
Commissioner Sampson,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Jones,
Yes.
Chairman Martin.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Department matters, carts, Kelly Walker.
Okay, good evening.
Good evening.
We have several items on the agenda, so if it's okay, I'd like for the Assistant Director, Roy Beeson, to do A and B, and I'll do
Okay.
C and D. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner, good evening.
Good evening.
I'm here to talk to you for a couple things. First is we're looking for adoption of the FY 2018-19 annual review of the CARTS SSP. The safety and security plan was adopted in November of 2018. It requires an annual review to ensure the information is correct. It also requires the annual report to include results of incident investigations and analysis, identification of possible hazards or hazardous conditions, results of inspections, established plans for handling future incidents, recommendations for SSP revisions, and analysis of departmental involvement in the administration of the SSP. There are no revisions, recommendations at this time, and a written report is provided as attachment number 5A, and we're requesting adoption of the 2018-19 annual report and management review.
Okay, let's take these one at a time. Do I have a motion?
so moved.
Yes, okay, we got both. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it.
Next, we will talk about the adoption of the updated drug and alcohol testing policy. We'll be requesting adoption of this tonight. The current drug and alcohol testing policy was adopted on December 18, 2017, with an effective date of January 1st, 2018. An updated template has been provided by North Carolina Department of Transportation Integrated Mobility Division. This is formerly the Public Transportation Division, with instructions that changes would require approval by the governing authority, which is the Craven County Board of Commissioners. The changes are found redlined on pages 5, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 20
and the documents were provided as attachment number 5B. These changes include a definition update, wording to add more clarification to the policy, an additional type of equipment that can be used for confirming testing of specimens that are not negative, and updated procedures regarding return to duty testing should an employee be reinstated either with a court order or other action beyond the control of carts.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? Discussion. Any
I have a question, Mr.
Yes.
Chair. If, in the process of going about his or her personal life, on Saturday night, one of your drivers is stopped for a DUI. Okay, obviously they are required to report it. However, that doesn't always happen. So what procedures are there in place in carts to make sure that someone is not arrested for hazardous driving that doesn't get reported, that needs to come to your attention? What's the fail-safe?
Outside of the annual or cyclic DMV reviews, I'll have to defer to Kelly for that one.
Right. Because my question is, somebody gets picked up in
We don't
February.
get the audit report directly
Yeah.
like we would to see that happen.
Right, I'd hate to know about it in November.
Right, so the Safety Risk Management Officer does periodic checks on our behalf on the driver record of our drivers. And also, when there's a conviction, we automatically get notified of the conviction. But to know on Monday morning, other than being a small community and word of mouth and checking the newspaper, that's...
Define periodic. Once a quarter, once a month, once a year.
Commissioner Mitchell,
Obviously,
I think while Kelly and Roy probably have their own procedures, there is a county protocol and a system to take place in HR. I wish Amber was here to define it for you.
Okay.
But we do have a system in place that alerts us of things like what you're describing.
Okay, that was then you
But
answered
it
my
wouldn't be,
question.
it would be not be handled through Kelly.
It'd be
and
handled
Roy's
through
department.
HR.
Okay.
Thank you, okay.
Any other questions?
Yes, sir.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it. Okay, Kelly?
So this is in regards to State Maintenance Assistance Program. The State Maintenance Assistance Program, we refer to as SMAP, is a state-funded public transportation grant program administered by the North Carolina Department of Transportation Integrated Mobility Division, NCDOT IMD, formerly the Public Transportation Division. The intent of this program is to provide operating assistance to urban, small urban, and urban regional fixed route and commuter bus systems with low overhead and paperwork. Eligible uses of the funds are limited to a system's operating cost. This is the first year that CARTS is eligible to receive SMAP funding. It is formula-based. CARTS has been allocated $131,714 for fiscal year 2019 to 2020. The funds must be spent by June 30th of 2020. A public hearing is not required. SMAP funding cannot exceed the amount of the local match provided for the 5307 Urban Area Formula Funds grants. With approval of this grant, the CARTS local match for the 5307 grant would be $130,528 and SMAP would be $130,527. SMAP was not budgeted as a revenue source in this year's budget. The local match is already identified in the current year's budget through contract and advertising revenue sources. So we are requesting approval to apply for $130,527 in SMAP funds.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, can I have a roll call vote on this, please?
Commissioner Liner?
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Yes.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Martin?
Yes.
Okay, and the next is for informational purposes regarding this fiscal year 2019 to 2020 Rural Operating Assistance Program, which we refer to as grant. It's also a state-funded transportation grant administered by the NCDOT IMD. ROPE consolidates the Elderly and Disabled Transportation Program, which we refer to as EDTAP, for the rural and urban areas. the Employment Transportation Program, EMP, for the rural and urban areas, and the Rural General Public, RGP, for the rural areas, all into one application. Each county within the CART service area is responsible for making a CARTS application for its respective county. Craven County has been allocated $105,747.84 for EdTap purposes only, so that amount can only be used on EdTap funded, EdTap eligible trips, as well as $126,972.77 that can be used for employment, RGP, or EdTap purposes during the fiscal year 2019 to 2020. So that's a total of $232,720.61, which is an increase of $34,084.61 over the prior fiscal year. RGP requires a 10% match, which is covered by fares charged to the passengers. A public hearing is not required to apply for this funding. In addition to the completed application, a certified statement signed by the county manager and county finance officer is required. So it's informational only, but I'd be glad to entertain any questions that you may have.
Let's have a motion first.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, discussion. Any questions? Actually, you're covering the match of 10%.
Right, with fares, with passenger fares, right.
I just wanted to make sure.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
sir, if the board pleases, we've gotten quite a bit of money, both for SMAP and an increase in this one, to the tune of about $160,000. I think it'd be advisable if this board agrees that we put a workshop together sometime in February to discuss how we're going to program this and how we're gonna work this money in. This is a large sum of money that's gonna go into our rural area. And unless somebody else on this board is aware of it, I don't know of a plan of moving this forward. So I think we need a workshop if the county manager and this board's in agreement.
Well, if I could reiterate that the SMAP is required to be used, the intent is to offset operating cost. So it's determined by the state how we can use that money. The additional rural operating assistance, they've changed the way they're doing the program this year so that where before each category had a set amount of money and that's where you could spend it, where now we have the $126,972 instead of programmed actually in for employment, in for RGP, it can be used across the three. And it's our desire that those additional funds be directed to some of the requests for our EdTap riders for out-of-county trips for which we have not been able to fund in previous years. Currently, out-of-county service is only provided for Medicaid-funded trips.
But is that something we should discuss in a workshop so we all understand
I
it?
think there's some other conversations we were gonna talk about as well. I think it's good to wrap up all, I mean, our biggest problem with SMAP money's gotta be spent by June 30th,
Right.
right? So you got a limited time. So I think the discussion then is important, but I think it's more holistic approach to, Kelly's been working on some public information, public meetings, we've got some reports that are due to the board. I think there's a bigger conversation to have.
Well, I think we've approved it
Yeah.
and everything going forward, but I think we need a better understanding of how it's working
Yep.
and how we're gonna work it, and what other areas or what other
Yep.
things we can put in place with it.
Right, I'd like to echo what Commissioner Liner said. I understand that it has to be spent, and I understand it has to be used to defray operating costs.
Yes, ma'am.
I personally would like to have a lot more information on how operating costs are defined. I met someone 10 days ago over the Christmas holidays who has lived here for 40 years and was unaware that we have a CARTS loop program. Okay, because of the lack of signage, lack of brochures, didn't know that it could be used, and actually had an elderly parent who could have used it had they known. So understand that there are parameters on this money. If it's purple money, it can only be used for purple projects or whatever. But I would echo Commissioner Liner's comment that it needs to be part of a February workshop. We've been talking about doing that for 9 months or so, both in terms to make us smart, to figure out what is the best uses for it within the parameters, and figure out where do we go holistically, bigger picture from here. So I would really like to see a February workshop and this included in it.
Done.
Okay. All right, we'll have that in the February workshop. In the meantime, roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Reiner?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner McCabe?
Money.
Yes. Information.
Commissioner Mitchell?
Yes.
Commissioner Sampson?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Jones?
Yes.
Chairman Martin?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next is appointments. Appointments will be effective immediately unless otherwise specified. Adult Care Home Advisory Committee, 5 vacancies. Nursing Home Advisory Committee, 3 vacancies. Now, we're scheduled to meet on that on the 13th at 2:30, Mr.
Yes.
County Manager?
Yes, sir.
2:30 or 11:30?
I thought it was 2:30.
I have it on the 15th at 11:30.
At 11:30.
Okay. And that's for both adult
Yeah. okay.
care and nursing
Just-
home?
Just a
Okay.
minute. Okay, that's on the 13th.
I have the 15th at 11:30.
You had the 15th. For some reason, I had it on the 13th. Okay, 11:30, 15th. Senior Legislative Tar Heel Alternative,
Still working on that one, Mr. Chairman. If anybody has anybody, that can go to any
Right.
district. I mean, that's an important committee to sit on for that.
all right, so we can work on that together then.
I'll check.
Board of Equalization and Review,
Mr. Chairman, I've got somebody that just has not filled out their paperwork.
okay, and Juvenile Prevention Council,
It's a student seat, sir. It has to be someone actively in high school.
okay.
We've struggled over the years. We'll find one, but then, of course, they
They
move
leave.
on.
Okay, I'll work that.
Okay. All right, current appointments, Craven County Clean Sweep Committee, Roberta Randall has submitted an application shown on 6B, seeking appointments to Craven County's Clean Sweep Committee.
I'd like to nominate Ms. Randall.
Okay? By acclamation. Fireman's Relief Fund Board of Trustees, Keith Gaskins has submitted the application shown in attachment 6B, seeking reappointment to the Fireman's Relief Fund, as that's tri-community. I'll appoint that one by acclamation. Recreation Advisory Committee, District 5.
Yeah, but Chairman, I'd like to postpone until the next meeting.
Okay. Upcoming appointments, terms expiring January 20th, Adult Care Home Advisory Committee, Craven Community Child Protection Committee, Havelock Craven County Library Board, and Juvenile Crime Prevention. That brings us to the attorney.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
One item for your consideration this evening, it is a offer to purchase real estate owned by the county and the city of New Bern jointly, 2203 Chestnut Avenue, over in Pembroke, partial ID number 8-037-011. The offer is in the amount of $375. The taxes and costs that were foreclosed were $4,179.83, and the tax value is $750. As the board may recall, in these situations in which we jointly own foreclosed property with the municipality, we let the municipality take the lead, determine the suitability of the offer amount, and in turn, assuming we want to ride the city's coattails, the city will prepare the deed, take care of the money, and all those types of things. So, assuming the board is inclined to agree with the city to sell this property for $375, The city will handle it, and I'll be back with a final approval probably in a few meetings.
Can you tell us a little bit about this? Because the $375, we've spent $4,179 in foreclosure and taxes, and not counting an ad, which is probably around $250 to $275.
Well,
And the city generally has a rule that they get 25%, at least 25% of the amount that foreclosed on, when they do it themselves.
well, this particular parcel, it is a very, very small lot, and you can, question whether it is, in fact, buildable or not. So my suspicion is it might be a neighbor picking it up to enlarge in a yard or something along those lines. The other thing, insofar as the amount, this was heir property since 1969.
Yeah.
And, was finally sold by the law firm down in Jones County handling this particular batch back in 19. So it's a very small parcel of property, probably de minimis property taxes annually, but if they haven't been paid for 20 or 30 years, that's how they're going to add up to that amount. And Mr. Chairman, the numbers don't look favorable. $750 tax value, a bid of $375. But it may very well be one of those situations we just need to get it back on the tax rolls and out of our ownership, and hopefully someone will keep paying taxes on it in the future.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
how much money do we have invested in it right now? Not counting taxes, but do we have any money vested in it?
You do have the attorney fees for the foreclosure, which Ari would probably be,
That's the full $4179.83.
That's included in
Yep,
that.
that's taxes, attorney's fees, publication cost. That's everything. That's the total investment.
And how much of that is the city's and how much of that is ours?
I do not have that information, Mr. Liner.
all the attorney fees would be on the county.
That's right.
The taxes on this would be minimal. So most of it's gonna be attorney and advertising.
So his attorney is gratis, right?
What's that?
His attorney's gratis,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. This is Mr. Bardill, so we'll be glad to make that pro bono, okay?
Well,
Nice try, George.
yeah.
You're in one of those catch-22s.
Well,
where-
most of it's taxes though,
Yeah.
right? It's not what we've already invested in it. We haven't put this out before.
No, most of it's what you've invested.
Most of it's cost.
I'd say 90% of it's probably what you've invested in attorney fees and
I was gonna say easily $2,500 between publication, service, filing, the lawyer fee, et cetera.
But this case went on for 14 years. It went on from 2005 to 2019, when it was finally settled in May. And it was one of those that hung around. I mean, obviously, not a lot of motivation with that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if we allow the process to go forward tonight, I mean, we can still reject it at the next meeting.
Yes, sir.
Or
Yeah.
when it's brought back to us, so. I would recommend, Mr. Chairman, that we go forward with it, and if we see fit to reject it next time, do so.
Okay, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Nays? The ayes have it.
Mr. Chairman, I will note that, based on experience over the years, the county has, implemented some informal policies to make sure we do not find ourselves in these types of situations going forward. This is just a holdover from
Yeah.
over a
I
decade ago,
realize
as
that,
Jack
yeah.
said, so.
I
thank you.
recognize that attorney's name. Okay, petition of citizens.
Mr. Chairman, we do have one citizen that desires to come before the board tonight, Mr. Ray Griffin, from Streets Ferry Road in Vanceboro.
Reverend Griffin.
Ray Griffin, Vanceboro, North Carolina, 1981 Streets Ferry Road. Government officials who follow God's principles of living encourage righteous living. The choice we make will set a standard for others to follow. So I come to you tonight asking you to make a resolution that we will not accept any recreational marijuana laws, that we will protest it, stand against it. And I say all this because marijuana is always evil. If your child got hold of poison, you would be justified in taking it away. If a snake was in your house, you would remove them before you would let your children come in. And the same holds true in regards to marijuana. It's our duty to protect the ones we love. Many family members that I have spoken to have a great sorrow that this marijuana problem has caused in their marriage. It blights whatever it touches. It robs man of every principle and degrades him lower than any animal. Very few can withstand its power. Physical strength is lessened and brain power weakened. The evil has spoiled their every chance. Moral standards are polluted and degraded. What God had intended to be noble and beautiful is debased, broken, and wrecked. Ruin is everywhere. The marriage trafficker of business must be carried on behind stained doors, a business that cannot face the light of day. Things that must happen that happen in the dark of night. It's in a league with the underworld, one of the most powerful agencies of the devil. Today, all has changed. They have dressed up marijuana and now call it recreational. Men's wives, daughters, husbands are ashamed of what they have done. At first, they step down to the degrading habit of just smoking cigarettes. Then they begin to do light drugs. Then they began to smoking marijuana. Then the hard stuff came. God help us that we will see a better light for the child of God. Where will it ever end? The object of marijuana is to devour and destroy whoever or whatever it can. So I ask you to make a resolution that you will not have anything to do with recreational marijuana. Legalizing recreational marijuana revolves around social costs and burdens because normalization could lead to increased use and abuse. There are implications on public health similar to the health tests associated with tobacco smoking. We know there was millions of dollars spent in that because they lied about all the things that were in those cigarettes. Marijuana directly affects short-term memory. The use of marijuana at a very young age has a great impact on developing the brain, which is why teens must avoid marijuana. It accelerates age, retaliates brain cell loss. Studies have found that there is a distortion in learning and thinking. But I would like you to consider that resolution. If you're a good county official and a child of God, you will consider it. Amen?
Thank you, sir. County Manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Happy New Year. I have two items. One of them is fairly simple. I want to just confirm the work session we talked about would be February 17, which is your normal meeting day of your second meeting in February. Tentatively marked 10:30 a.m., assuming we'd have our regular commissioner meeting, then take a small break and come back to it. We'll provide lunch that day. Right now, I wrote down 3 items, but I'm interested if you've got anything off the top of your head, or you can email me after the meeting.
Yeah, I have a couple.
Discussion of the sheriff's vehicles from today, carts, and then Gene and I just mentioned bringing the architect and engineers back in to give you an update on county buildings. We're probably due for that. We may have some quick budget update. I'm going to talk with Craig, see if we got any numbers. We can give you kind of a preview of what we're looking at. Be a little early for us, but we'll maybe some stuff we have. Anything else right now, just off the top of your head, you want us to add on to that?
Not, I'll
Talk to me?
you later.
Okay, great. All right, and then it's been sitting on my desk for some time, but I thought tonight would be a great time to pull it out. I was, back in December, offered a letter from the Government Finance Officers Association, which we're a member of, and it was a news release, and I'm going to just read the first paragraph here. Of course, it was generated in Chicago, Illinois, but the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting has been awarded to Craven County by Government Finance Officers Association of the United States and Canada for its comprehensive annual financial report, CAFR. The Certificate of Achievement is the highest form of recognition in the area of governmental accounting and financial reporting, and its attainment represents a significant accomplishment by government and its finance department. So I wanted to recognize Craig and our great finance department downstairs. They do a great job. We had to put in another wall down there when Mr. Hemphill retired because he got so many of these, but Craig's keeping up the tradition. Albeit now it's not a plaque, it's a button on a plaque. So you get the 2019 button, Craig, but I just wanted to recognize you and your staff tonight for a great job you guys do this year. Mr. Chairman, that's the only two things I have unless you have things for me.
That's it, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, commissioners' reports. Commissioner McCabe.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a couple of things here. Well, Happy New Year to everyone, and I guess everyone know that this year is a good year, and 2020, all the holidays this year falls on a weekend, which is good for everyone. You got Friday the 14th is Valentine's Day, that's on the 14th, and you got Good Fridays on the 10th. 4th of July is on a Saturday, which is good for everyone. Halloween, 31st is on a Saturday, good for the parents to go out, the kids out. And December 25th is on a Friday. So everybody got all weekend off. That's good. Also, I thank George Line and myself. We visited the donut shop here in Havelock with Mr. Chip Hughes, our county sheriff. And I know, but I got a great picture here on the front page with the sheriff and his deputies. And George and I had a very good time working and listening to the people in the community, their concerns. And Chip Hughes did a wonderful job there. And I believe that George and I probably later on piggyback on a little more about what he's done also. And also, I have some complaints about Highway 101, all right? Someone dumped a lot of trash, which is clothes, baby clothes, women clothes, wigs, down on Highway 101 east on Sonia Patrick Ferry Road. It was there for over 2 months, and no one never picked it up, DOT and nobody. So I got time looking at it. So last week, I did go in there and pick all the garbage up myself, and I picked up 6 bags of garbage on Highway 101. And I didn't go all the way down, but it's too far. I just did it in the area. So the bags are still there now. So tomorrow is Tuesday, which I'm going to take to the dumpster because the dumpster closed. So they'll be taken care of. And let's see what else I have here. I think that's it. And also, George and I attend the senior citizen Christmas dinner for the kids in the Havelock High School. He also can piggyback on that a little more also. So George and I work very close together in District 5 and District 6. So what's going on in his district, he know me, and what my district, he know what's going on. And it's good by working together. No matter what part you're from, we all need to work together, and then we get something done. Happy New Year to everyone. Have a blessed one. Thank you.
Thank you for informing us about the holidays. We're all happy. Commissioner Sampson.
Yes, I would just like to say we are planning for this coming Saturday. We're going to have a meeting from the District 23 counties coming in to New Bern to have a public meeting, and we invite everyone to come. I was looking for my address that I had, and I can't find it. We don't have it yet. I've written it down somewhere. It looked like it got lost in the shuffle. But anyway, I just like to say also that we have been working in our community to try and get the young people represented. We have so many youngsters, and I'm not talking about teenagers. I'm talking about we want to start from birth until at least 15 with this program, because we find that we have more problem with kids early years than we do in later years. For instance, a kid is born at the hospital or born anywhere except the hospital, that we would like for them to be examined at that time. And we know a lot of kids is being born with drugs in the system. And sometimes it takes 4 or 5 years, and sometimes 15 years, and sometimes never before we recognize that they have this problem in the beginning. Once they get this problem in the beginning, we're gonna be spending money until we put them away. Well, we're still gonna be spending money if we put them in the system, the prison system. So if we start early, we can counteract this, but we take a lot of planning and we're working, trying to get this program started. Because I know the school put you out when you're at least 3 years old. They'll put you out of school then, in kindergarten, early start school, smart start. And once they put you out of school, if you don't have parents at home, you'll be in the street. And you'll learn early about what's happening in the street. And eventually, county gonna pick up the tab. So we had some people that already volunteer to work in this committee to get it started. And we have our blessing from the sheriff also to work along with us and try to help us get this organized, because we realize that our kids is the most important part of our treasure. And if we don't start out right with them, we're gonna have to be paying for them the rest of their lives. So we're asking for more volunteers. We're just starting it in our community, but we wanted to be in all communities. We want all kids to have the same opportunity. I see so many kids walking the street now, beating up people, stealing, tearing up people's property. And we can stop the kids, but when they get to be adults, we just throwing money away trying to stop them. We might stop a few of them, but most of them we're not going to be able to help. So if we start early, we can see successes as the years go by. So I'm asking everyone that's interested in the kids, instead of just saying those some bad kids, somebody need to do something for them, or either need to put them in jail, and throw the kid away. But we forget that we're gonna be the one paying for them. So if you're interested in trying to help the kids, and I will go all the way down to birth, because that's the easiest way to reach them when they first come from the mother's womb. That's the first way to stop spending money unnecessarily. Because we're going to test them anyway, and sometimes we pass them on without giving a cure for what's the matter with them. I know some people want to say, well, you can't cure them all. Well, if we get 50%, when you're halfway there, keep working, we'll probably get up to 85 or 90%. And so we'll be doing our part. So I'm very interested in this happening. And also, I'd like to say that we would like to try and do some things in our community, and we ask the help of everyone. This is a county, but I'm talking about in a municipality. We know the municipalities and also the county is working together as one. If we're not working together, we're spending money as a unit to try and try to get people working together. We know right now we have a big problem in our community. We don't have a gym in our community now. And we would like for the Standard White gym to be renovated, that we will have somewhere for the kids to go. If the kids don't have anywhere to go, they're gonna find somewhere. Especially if you put them out of school, they'll still find somewhere. And if the mothers or the fathers, the parents have to go to work and leave the kids at home, they're gonna find somewhere to go. So we need recreation. I know had a advantage with recreation because when I was going to school, they had recreation in the schools. But now if you don't have a gym after school, you're in trouble. You might say, well, all the kids not going, but if you can save half of them, we're halfway there. So I'm asking everyone that are interested in our kids, that they will come to the forefront and ask people in their community. A lot of communities might be already doing it, but I would like to see this as a county-wide. And I'm aware that if we started county-wide, which we will be successful, I'm not saying if we be successful, but I'm saying we will be successful, and then other counties will want to copy off of us and do the same thing. So all those that's interested in trying to do something, let it be known. You can either call me or write me. And if you can't get up with me, just send it to my email at the county office, and I'll receive it. That's all I have.
Thank you, Commissioner Sampson. Commissioner Mitchell?
Several things, sir. Number one, I'd like to congratulate the Sheriff's Department on moving out and starting to address the child support arrears issue. When we looked at the amount of outstanding child support for warrants alone, it was over $3.1 million. So I appreciate the effort, and I'm looking forward to seeing more. I'll get an update tomorrow from Interfaith Refugee on the status of resettlement efforts. I'll be attending the conference on Wednesday and Thursday for the North Carolina DOT Symposium in Raleigh. And finally, I'd like to remind everyone that the Veteran Stand Down is scheduled for 21 and 22 February of this year.
Thank you.
Yes. Oh, I'm sorry, and there are two locations, one being in the West New Bern Recreation Center and the other one being at Cherry Point Baptist Church down in the Havelock area. And that's awesome.
Commissioner Liner?
Thank you, sir. I get to piggyback off of Commissioner McCabe, but if everybody noticed that, he's the only one that got his picture taken in the paper on that.
What's new?
You know, he's always in the front on that. Sheriff, I do commend you. That was the first time down there, and I think you had a good turnout. I don't know what your feelings were on it, but I thought a great number of people came out. It was a good program and everything else, so I thank you on that. The senior breakfast we attended to is put on by the seniors at Havelock High School. It was the same morning as the sheriff's function. They had 78 seniors show up for breakfast, fed us all and everything else, and it was a good program. It's growing every year. This is about the 12th year that's been done down there, so it's growing good. Tomorrow I will be attending the CMCC meeting at Cherry Point with the commanders and the municipalities around here to discuss issues that's going on. If any of you get an opportunity or aboard Cherry Point, you need to go down to 6th Avenue and look at that. A number of hangars have come down already. One is already having all of the brickwork taken off of it. The third one will be coming down by February. They're moving that, so it's moving along well. Wednesday, some of us and the manager will be attending the RSM brief, the annual briefing on finances for the country and where we're standing at. And I think we all, as a community, should get behind and let our legislators know that we need help. They go back into session on Monday, the 13th. We need to get a budget. We need to get something started and working on here to where we can start functioning.
I think we should include the governor in that.
You know, I mean, it's everybody, it's all legislators, it's everybody. We need to do something to go through. Otherwise, we're gonna be in this way for 2 years, because this is a 2-year budget.
That's right.
So we're gonna be stuck with what we got. Again, I'll go out to Senator Tom Tillis. I think everybody read in the paper, we've got for Camp Lejeune, Fort Bragg, and Cherry Point, we've got $2.1 billion worth of construction projects and repair projects from Florence. It's got approved, signed into the budget, and that's starting to roll on that. So, Mr. Chairman, that's all I have, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Several years ago, the Board of Commissioners invested taxpayers' dollars to start a roadside litter pickup program, which I think is working very effectively. We thank the Sheriff's Department for joining with us doing that. All of our commissioners, we receive an update on what's being done. And just to give our citizens just a little update, for the month of November, 79 bags of refuge were collected on 8 different secondary roads across Craven County. This is a program that I hope, and I've talked to my colleagues and our staff about it, but I hope that we can see it expanded for the future. I think it's a great utilization of taxpayer funds, and we are seeing a great cooperation with our Sheriff's Department in doing that. We all, as Commissioner McCabe said, we receive a lot of calls as commissioners about the litter that's on the sides of the roads. And so I commend staff for what they're doing, and that is an excellent program. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, tonight, I would like to ask that the clerk, if she would, spread upon the minutes the following names. Mr. Charlie Simmons, Mrs. Mary Randolph, and Dr. Helen Adams. These 3 citizens passed away in the last few weeks, and each were very influential in fighting for their communities, for this county, and for their fellow man. I had a great relationship with Mr. Charlie Simmons. He fought for many of our citizens there in western Craven County, his community of the Tuscarora Rims area. He came before this Board of Commissioners through the past probably 40 years, many times. And I do not say that lightly, but he stood here before many boards to advocate on issues that he thought that were critical and that needed to be attended to. Miss Mary Randolph, I think the paper said she was 98 years old. She has come before this Board of Commissioners also. I know Commissioner Sampson has had a lot of interaction with her over the years, and she was a go-getter. And then the last, Dr. Helen Adams, she served on a lot of boards, committees for our county, served on our hospital board for a number of years. And so these 3 citizens, I think, deserve the recognition tonight. I was not able to attend the services for Mr. Charlie and Miss Mary, but I think Commissioner Sampson did, and thank him for representing us there. And that's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Commissioner Lang.
Sir, if the board would approve, Jack, would you mind getting something out? We're starting a new year on the recycling program. This past week has probably been the roughest week I've had on recycling. We need to remind everyone, if it doesn't go in the container, it's not being picked up.
You just gave me a beautiful lead-in.
Thank you. Thank you. And just remind everybody the program, of what the program is about. And if you park your car on the road and you put your bin behind the car, it's not going to get picked up. And people call me this whole weekend, why didn't it get picked up? Well, I went out and looked at it. Well, no kidding. It's not going to get picked up. I think we need to refresh every 3 to 6 months of what this program's about. It's not the old program. If it's broken down on the side of the container, it gets picked up. It doesn't. If it's not in that container, it's not getting picked up. Thank you, sir.
You know, in Alabama, in a county, they are boasting an 80% opt-in to curbside program on a monthly basis from a weekly basis. And I think it's about time. We get a lot of complaints about the new system, but I think we ought to bring up the owner benefits of the new system. We had a 19-gallon can that we used to put our recyclables in. We now have a 95-gallon can, so we can put a lot more recyclables at one time. In addition to that, we don't have stuff blowing all over the street because we got covers on the can. So I think we should approach this program with more of a great thing. And also, we all should get involved in putting only what should go in that can, that is on the papers that you got from the recycling place. The only thing that I might want to add to what Commissioner Liner has said, I think it wouldn't be a bad idea once in a while to meet with the solid waste people that do the recycling and maybe get them to use more communication to remind people, especially on a holiday, that there's going to be a change a week sooner or a week after, but more communication about what they're doing. But I think there's a lot of owner benefits to the new system, and I'm glad you brought it up because here on my pad. But I think that in addition to having a problem, if you have a problem, you can always buy another barrel that holds 95 gallons if you've got more than anybody else does. I want to thank the commissioners, and I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and I would ask for adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you.